Empires don't collapse because of enemies at the gate. They collapse because of the money they issue. Rome didn't fall in a single battle. It fell when its silver coin, the denarius, was slowly drained of purity until it became almost worthless. Spain didn't collapse because it lacked gold. It collapsed because it drowned in the inflation caused by too much of it. Britain didn't lose global power overnight. Its currency eroded through decades of debt, war, and financial strain until the pound could no longer support the empire. And now, the world looks to the US dollar, the last currency standing at the top of the global system. Strong, dominant, trusted, but also stretched, printed, and pressured in ways eerily similar to the empires that came before it. This story isn't just about history. It's about a pattern, the same pattern that destroyed currencies across 2,000 years, and the pattern that may be repeating today. Welcome to MoneyLore Insider, where finance meets history, power, and truth. The Roman Empire wasn't built only by soldiers. It was built by money, the Roman denarius, a small silver coin trusted across 3 continents. At first, it was nearly pure silver, a coin that people believed in, saved, traded, and used to pay soldiers who defended the empire's borders. But Rome grew too large, too expensive, too hungry for revenue. So emperors discovered the oldest trick in the financial book: debase the currency, shave the silver, replace it with cheaper metal. Make more coins without increasing real wealth. It worked at first. Rome paid its armies, funded its wars, built monuments to its glory. But every time Rome diluted the denarius, the people lost a little more trust. By 270 AD, the once pure coin had fallen to 5% silver. Inflation soared. Prices doubled, then tripled. Soldiers demanded payment in actual silver, not government coins. Rome didn't just suffer inflation. It suffered hyperinflation, the kind that destroys nations from the inside out. By 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire collapsed, not because of barbarians alone, but because the money that held everything together had already died. 1,000 years later, a new global superpower rose, the Spanish Empire. Spain discovered unimaginable wealth in the New World, mountains of silver from Bolivia and Mexico. So much silver flooded Europe that the Spanish coin, the Real de Ocho, the piece of 8, became the world's first global currency. But too much money can be as dangerous as too little. Spain believed endless silver meant endless power. So it borrowed, spent, and fought wars across continents. There was only one problem. All that silver created inflation. Prices rose everywhere. The more silver Spain mined, the less it was worth. In 1557, Spain defaulted. Then again in 1575. Then again in 1596. Then again, 14 national bankruptcies in total. Despite massive wealth, Spain was financially hollow, and by 1898, after losing the Spanish-American War, the empire collapsed, not because the mines dried up, but because easy money made the nation blind to its own weakness. For 200 years, the British pound sterling was the most trusted money on earth. Britain ruled global trade. Its navy controlled the seas. Its financial system stretched across the world. The pound was as good as gold. But then came 2 world wars, costly, brutal, and impossible to fund without massive borrowing. Britain left the gold standard in 1914, returned in 1925 at the wrong exchange rate, then left it again in 1931. Each shift weakened trust in the pound. By the end of World War II, Britain was bankrupt. So bankrupt that the US had to loan it billions just to keep the lights on. At Bretton Woods, from 1944 to 1946, global power shifted. The US dollar, backed by gold, became the new king. The British pound lost its reserve currency status, and the empire that once ruled a quarter of Earth's population began its slow retreat, not because of military defeat, but because debt and inflation suffocated the pound. Now we reach the present, and the question nobody wants to ask: is the US following the same pattern? In 1944, the US dollar became the world's reserve currency. In 1971, America left the gold standard, just like Britain, just like Rome, just like every empire that came before it. Since then, something predictable happened. Debt exploded. Government spending exploded. Inflation became normal. Money printing became the solution to every crisis. From 2008 to now, the US has printed more money than in the entire previous century combined. Debt has surpassed $35 trillion. Interest payments alone exceed the military budget. And the only way out, historically, is inflation, default, or collapse of confidence. Every empire thinks it's different. Every empire believes it can outrun debt. Every empire assumes the world will always trust its money. But history is clear. Currencies don't die when they lose value. They die when people lose faith. And that moment, for the US dollar, is no longer unthinkable. Across 2,000 years, 4 empires, each dominant in its era, followed the same pattern. Step 1, strong money backed by real value. Step 2, expansion funded by debt. Step 3, currency debasement or printing. Step 4, collapse of trust, collapse of empire. Rome debased silver. Spain flooded the world with cheap silver. Britain printed to survive world wars. America prints to survive everything. This is not just history. This is mathematics. An empire can survive bad leaders, bad wars, bad politics. It cannot survive the death of its money. The dollar will not collapse the way Rome did. It will not collapse the way Spain did. It will not collapse the way Britain did. It will collapse in a way unique to modern finance, through debt saturation, inflation disguised as policy, global diversification away from the dollar, and a slow erosion of trust until a single event breaks the system. Every empire believes it is the exception. None have been. The question is no longer whether the US faces decline. The question is, how fast will the world move on, and what replaces the dollar when it does? If history teaches us anything, it's this: empires rise on strong money and fall on weak money. Rome didn't believe its silver could fail. Spain thought it had endless treasure. Britain believed the pound would rule forever. America thinks the dollar is untouchable. But currencies are fragile. Trust is fragile. And no empire is immune from the forces that ended every one before it. Empires don't collapse in a day, and currencies don't fail in a moment. They weaken slowly, quietly, until they don't. What history shows us is simple. When money breaks, everything built on top of it begins to shake. But here's the real lesson. Those who understand the pattern aren't afraid of it. They prepare for it. If you want more deep dives into the hidden forces shaping money, power, and the global future, make sure you subscribe to MoneyLore Insider.